The Garden Gurus has always been about making gardening easy, showing you ways to be more successful and getting great results. But most of the time, most of the issues that come up all relate to one thing. It is the soil. Soil quality is absolutely imperative if you want to have a beautiful garden. And that is why you need to improve your soil before you get started. When it comes to gutless sandy soils, changing the soil structure is vitally important. When we first started producing this show, the only option we had available was to continuously pour composted organics into the soil. And when there were problems, you'd try to boost it up with minerals or fix water repellency issues, which was done with a reasonably new innovation back then, wetting agents. But it was innovative thinking that changed the way we changed what we did. And it was this guy, Gavin Davis, that led the charge. Gav, it's great to have you in my backyard. Now, I'm a massive Soil Solver fan. What's your background? How did you come up with this product?
Well, I was a farmer, and of course I ended up getting a farm which didn't have the best soils, but I had some really, really not so good clay and really, really not so good sand. But I ended up going to further education with soil science with Neil Kinsey, and minerals come up and balancing the minerals. So I went and corrected the balance on the clay, and the medic I'd planted 20 years prior, which I used to go out and find it this high, suddenly was this high in a good year. And then the opportunity come up because I found some clay on my farm, which is 4 times better than the next best I've ever tested anywhere. And I've tested a lot of clays.
Gavin took a deep look at the structure of the most productive of garden soils, loam, and then looked at a way to effectively recreate it in a sandy soil environment by adding the essential ingredients that were missing. So there's a lot of clays that are sold in garden centres, but the kaolin clay that you use in your product is significantly different.
Well, kaolin clay is the clay which nature puts in our soils. Kaolin clay is what holds onto a sand particle and a humus particle, which stops the leaching of the organic matter through our soils. We go and pick this soil up, you'll find it just sits in your hand, and that's a ped of soil. It's also a loam now because it's got the clay in it. But the Soil Solver trick is to get the minerals into the clay lattice in the manufacturing process. So when you put it on your garden, it's all ready to go, then it really gets the humus working.
I've been using Soil Solver for over a decade now in my own garden and in professional landscape works that we have done. And the significant differences between this soil amendment and adding things such as wetting agents and composts and soil improvers is the change in the soil that appears to be permanent. Once you've amended this soil, its performance is consistent and it remains stable. How much Soil Solver do they use per square metre to get the results?
10 kilos a square metre of my product, which is 50% clay content. We've got lawns, 2 waters a week, just standard, no fertiliser, no wetting agent. Out many years now. Veggie gardens, you still got to water them the similar amount, but instead of getting 1 little plant, you get 3.
If I could find you one really good example of what I have achieved in my own garden with Soil Solver, it's got to be this. This plant here is a kaffir lime. I grow it for the leaves. And I've got to be honest with you, it's not super happy. But at the time I planted this one, I planted one exactly the same size right here. And this is it. I've actually cut this one almost in half recently as well. And see how big and strong and robust it is. And the only difference in the way they're treated is this one had 12.5 kilos of Soil Solver dug into the soil and put under the roots when it was planted in this spot. This one didn't. It was just straight, sandy, natural soil. They've both been fed the same way, the same fertilisers, they've had the same amount of water and they get the same amount of sunlight. Yet look at the difference. If you want to change sandy soil permanently, forever, and get amazing results, then Soil Solver has got to be the additive you put into your garden.